Welcome back to Module 2 of our sessions, where we will be covering the rules of the game. In field hockey, the ball is only out of play when it's completely crossed over an end line or sideline. And this includes when a goal is scored. If the ball is on the line in any sort of way, it is still inbounds. It is still in play. The spectators may not understand that, so you need to be confident in your knowledge that as long as the ball is on the line, it is inbounds. This is also a reason why the goal cages themselves should be placed behind the end line, not on the end line. If you place your goals on the end line, the goalpost and sideboards are going to obstruct the view of an umpire on the end line who is trying to see if a goal has been scored. Also understand that a player does not have to physically be in the field of play to play the ball, as long as the ball itself is. We had discussed that 5-yard buffer around the field in the first module, and this is another reason why that's critically important. We don't want any players or spectators to be injured by a player running out of bounds while playing a ball that is in bounds. For any restarts inside the field, the ball must come to a complete stop before the restart occurs. Umpires, make sure the ball is stopped and placed where you want it before allowing play to continue. In the 2-4 division, play must be held until all defenders are 5 yards away. This is a modified self-start. In the other divisions, play may begin immediately after the ball is stopped and properly placed. The only restriction is that defenders who are not 5 yards away at the time of the restart must allow the ball carrier to move 5 yards before engaging. When the ball goes out of bounds over the end line and it's not a goal, there are 3 potential outcomes. If the attacking team causes the ball to go over the end line, the game is restarted with a 16-yard hit going away, in line with where the ball crossed over the end line. If a defender unintentionally causes the ball to go over the end line, then the attacking team gets a 25-yard hit coming back in from the 25. As with the 16, the hit should be taken in line with the spot on the field where the ball crossed the end line. If a member of the defending team deliberately causes the ball to go over the end line, it's a corner. When you see a sweep of the stick, turn of the hips, or some other act of clear intent, you must call the corner. Let's look at some examples, and of course, these fields are not to scale. In this case, the offense hit the ball over the end line at the blue dot. The ball is now coming out as a 16-yard hit. The restart needs to be in line with where the ball went out of bounds. However, note that the red spots are incorrect. A 16-yard hit does not need to be on the circle itself. It should be in line with the top of the circle from where the ball went out of bounds. All the green dots you'll see are in line with the top of the circle. In this example, when the defense unintentionally hits the ball over the end line because intentionally, of course, would be a corner, the green dot is the right answer. The ball comes out to the 25-yard line on each of our respective fields. Because this continues to be a point of contention, please note with extreme emphasis that on the 5th, 6th grade level, the glowing red dot on the field here is absolutely, positively not the right place to put the ball. It seems that every year there are still several arguments over this, with someone insisting that because there is no physical 25 marked on the field, the 25-yard hit should be taken from a fictitious 25-yard line. That is simply not true, period. Restarting play with a bully may not happen often, but is a tool umpires have at their disposal. A bully typically follows either fouls that happen at the same time, some sort of a pop-up where it's not possible to tell who was at fault, or any other situation where the officials need to stop play, but it's not clear who the last touch or who the fouler was to clearly award possession. There's a video on our website that illustrates this very well. The main emphasis is that a bully is taken at least 5 yards away from the sidelines, and all players other than the 2 players participating in the bully must be at least 5 yards away from the ball when the bully begins. Lastly, for those of you coming back to the game after a long absence, a bully is now just 1 tap of the sticks in play. Ground, tap, go. The days of 3 stick taps are long gone. And again, the video explains it very well. This is a big one. Stick and ball contact and stick and ball movement at the 2-4 and 5-6 levels in particular. Let's get the 7th and 8th grade division out of the way in a hurry. Anything that's allowed in high school or club is allowed in our 7th and 8th grade division. However, in our 2-4 and our 5-6, we have some modifications. In the 2-4 division, the stick and ball can rise no higher than the knees of the shortest player in the area of the swing of the stick or of the path of the ball. Not just the hitter, but anybody who is in the area or along the path of the ball. It's knees on the backswing, knees on the follow-through. That's the height. We must teach the kids to swing through from front to back, not like a pendulum or a 9-iron. Big backswings and big follow-throughs must be whistled and penalized so they can be controlled. We know the kids may be frustrated at this skill level, and sometimes because of bad grounds or long grass, but that is no excuse for dangerous play. In the 5th and 6th grade division, we have a little bit more latitude. By rule, the stick and ball can go no higher than the hips of the player contacting the ball or anyone in the path of the ball. So, what does that mean? It means you can drive, but it also means there's no scoops or aerials. If nobody is nearby and the stick comes up a little bit high or the ball comes up a little bit high, but nobody is within playing distance or in any danger from the path of the ball, the umpires do have some discretion here, but we cannot go overboard with that discretion. It is intended to help with the marginal extra height. It should not be interpreted to mean that the ball or stick can go over a player's shoulder if no one else is around. This is all about focusing on teaching technique and skill, while understanding that not everyone on the field in an elementary school game is going to have the same level of awareness. But also, consider that our younger divisions are being officiated by high school kids, not by adults trained and certified to officiate high school or college games. And so, when we start talking about lifts and scoops and things like that, there are a lot of very complex decisions that need to be made by an umpire to determine a dangerous or otherwise illegal play of the ball. I'm sure many of you have watched or played in a high school or college game and had no idea why the whistle was blown on a scoop. It is a very complicated decision to make, and we don't think that it's the right position to put our high school-aged officials in. And so, we don't. And besides, we're spending our energy in the wrong place if we're teaching 11-year-olds to scoop to gain an advantage on a small field instead of working on core fundamentals and skills. There will be plenty of time for scooping and lifting down the road. A drive is never legal in the 2-4 division, so there should never be significant backswings or follow-throughs in the 2-4 division. They are legal in the 5-6 as long as the stick and ball do what we talked about in the previous slide. Just watch the backswing, the follow-through, and the path of the ball. Drives are, of course, legal in the 7th and 8th grade division, subject to the traditional safety considerations. So, as we talked about earlier, a goal is only a goal when the entire ball passes completely over the goal line. Not on the line, but over the line. That's when the whistle gets blown and the umpire uses the right signal. All shots on goal need to be taken from inside or on the line of the striking circle, because as we know, lines are in play. If the ball is sent towards the goal from outside the circle and is deflected into the goal by a defender or a defender's body or stick, there is no goal because the last touch by an offensive player happened outside the circle. However, if the shot comes from inside the circle and then deflects off of a defender's body or stick or the goalpost, it's a legal goal. The key takeaway is that the last attacking player to touch the ball has to have done so from inside the circle, otherwise there can be no goal. That does not necessarily mean that the attacking player needs to be the last person to touch the ball, just the last attacking player to touch it has to have done so inside the circle. Fouls and penalties. We'll hit on a couple of highlights here, but there's no substitute for the fact that you need to read the rule book to learn everything you need to know. First, low block tackling at the 2-4 division is not legal. We do not want players at that level with both hands on the ground, because when both of their hands are on the ground, their head is usually also facing down, which puts them in danger. We want to make sure their heads are up and that they're aware of their surroundings, and one of the ways we can try to do that is to make sure that the top hand, that left hand, is up around their knee. Hacking or stick interference. When a player hits, holds, hacks, slashes, hooks, or strikes the opponent or the opponent's stick. You should be making a call when you hear wood on wood and the ball is untouched. Advancing, or as half the spectators yell on every play, foot, is when a ball is played by a player's body to achieve advantage or disruption. Umpires, you do not have to blow the whistle every time a ball touches somebody's body. If there was no advantage created or if there was no meaningful redirection of the ball, then let the play go on. Just remember to put your arm out while you're playing on. Let everyone know you saw it, but hold your whistle if no advantage was created. Lastly, obstruction. There's a really good video on our website that demonstrates this, but bottom line is there are no picks in field hockey, and if any player, whether they be offensive or defensive, are in a position where they have an opportunity to play the ball, and they are taking that opportunity to play the ball, and they are denied that opportunity to play the ball, also known as the 3 Rs. Reachable, reaching, and rejected, obstruction has occurred. Bear in mind that we don't play on many turf fields in this league, so often an offensive player during a dodge can end up creating obstruction against herself because they're tapping the ball as they carry. When they become disconnected or no longer have possession of the ball, they may create a situation where they are now obstructing the defender. We know that bunching doesn't exist in real field hockey, but it does here, and it's really just a preemptive call to try to keep other issues from happening. When more than one player from the same team is playing the ball, it's bunching. If you see the players trying to get out of the situation, don't call it. But here again, we're trying to avoid that soccer swarm that we referred to in the last module. The only other thing to know about bunching is that it should not be called in the circle. There can be an opportunity where two defensive players simultaneously get the idea to make the same defensive play at the same time to try to prevent the goal or a shot. Or two offensive players happen to scramble for a loose ball that may have been rebounded or something like that. We want to allow those plays to continue, but just be aware that other fouls could be happening. So, this is where you want to look for the feet for advancing, for obstruction, for a hack, and so on. If there are a bunch of players in one area, the likelihood of one of these other things happening is pretty high. Tackling from behind is not on its face illegal, but these kids are not likely to do it properly. Coaches, what we really need you to do is instruct your players to try to tackle from the front. Have them take those extra steps and remind them that they're faster without the ball than the player running with the ball, so they should run to get ahead, then make a clean tackle from the front. Umpires, the trail umpires should be looking for these sorts of fouls and make the call. If you want to keep the sidelines quiet, whether coaches or spectators, call these fouls early before they become a bigger problem. Hold for advantage. You need to know when not to blow the whistle. Just because you saw something doesn't necessarily mean you have to blow the play dead, particularly, again, with feet. If no advantage is created by the foul, just let them play through it, but save yourself some trouble. Let everyone know that you know what you're talking about. Put your arm out like you're going to make the call, or like you are pointing in the direction that you would if the call were made. But as long as the play is continuing in the intended direction, let it go. If no danger is created, let the play go. Always keep Rule 12.1 in mind. A penalty is awarded only when a player or team has been disadvantaged by an opponent breaking the rules. If there is no disadvantage, then no penalty should be called. The last couple of slides for this module will discuss penalty corners. Please be reminded that our 2-4 division only has 2 defenders lining up for a corner. They should be positioned with one on either side of the goal, behind the end line. You still may only have 3 players from the attacking team inside the 25. This would be one inserter, and the 2 others. But don't forget that a corner is a penalty against the defense, not the attack. The 2 midfielders from the attacking team may be up as close as the 25-yard line, if they wish. This can be helpful if an insert is hit too strongly or mishandled by the receiver. They can be there to send it back in. On the defensive side, 4 players must retreat back to the 50. One of those players may run in to rejoin the defense once the corner play begins, but there must be 4 behind the 50 to start from the defensive team. In the 5-6 division, you have your goalie plus your 3 defenders. Everybody else on the defensive side is behind the 50. On the attack, anybody who wants to be up on the corner can be, and once the corner starts, then the rest of the defense can also join in. Again, there are no numbers restrictions on positions at this level, except for certain situations, like the start of a corner. As noted on the previous slide, the ball must travel outside of the circle before a goal is scored. However, that does not mean that if a shot has been taken without the ball leaving the circle, that play must be stopped. It only means that a goal cannot yet be scored. If that sounds confusing, it doesn't need to be. Here are a few examples, all of which start the same way. The ball is injected to begin the corner. The ball does not leave the circle. A shot is taken, and then the ball crosses the goal line into the goal. The goal is disallowed, and the defense gets a free hit from the 16. Or, a shot is taken, the goalie makes the save, then the defender takes the rebound or clearing pass and proceeds to run upfield. Play on. The fact that there was a shot without the ball leaving the circle is irrelevant if the ball does not end up in the goal. Or, a shot is taken, the ball goes wide and over the end line. This is a free hit for the defense. Or, a shot is taken, the goalie makes the save, and an attacking player recovers the rebound. Play on, at least for now. Or, A shot is taken, the goalie makes the save, an attacking player recovers the rebound and takes another shot with the ball still not having left the circle. If the ball goes in, there is no goal. Award a free hit to the defense. For anything else, just play on. And lastly, a shot is taken, the goalie makes the save, an attacking player recovers the rebound, sends the ball outside the circle, the ball comes back into the circle, then an attacker shoots the ball into the goal. This is a legal goal, as the ball ultimately did leave the circle prior to the scoring shot. Just when we thought we were done with corners. New, in 2024, a corner can only start after the umpire's whistle. There are no more silent starts. Also, while this was always the case in our league, the high school rules have just caught up, so we should all now be consistent. A substitution may not take place from the point where the corner is called for by the umpire through the completion of the corner. Not right when the corner starts, but when it is over. Keep in mind that if a corner concludes with another corner, the sub must continue to wait to enter the game. And that's the end of Module 2.